I would say to anybody, like, once you're locked in on your product, don't give up yet. Like, if you can't find the person the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time that can make it, because someone will make it. And so once I had the manufacturer, that's sort of when everything kind of like blew up in a good way.
Hey everyone, welcome to Female Founder World. I'm your host, Jasmine, and today I'm having a conversation with Cattie Khoury, the founder of Toodaloo Superfoods. Hey Cattie, and welcome to the show. Am I pronouncing your name correctly, first of all? Is it Cattie? Is that how I say it?
It's Katie, but it totally looks like Cattie. I've even gotten cattle, so I'll take
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay, Katie, that's easier. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm really excited to dig into your story. I feel like you've got a lot that you can share. But before we kind of get into your background and how you launched your company, I think it's like really helpful for you just to say in your own words a little bit about what your vision is, who you are, what your company is doing, and a couple of anchor points so that we can know where you're at in the entrepreneurship process. So any milestones or insights you can give into like how big you are and where you're at the moment would be super helpful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. This is so exciting, and I can see so much value in this type of information for people starting out. But I'm Katie. I'm the founder of Toodaloo Superfoods. I'm also like the creative backbone to our company. And essentially with Toodaloo, I'm really trying to have a holistic healing brand that talks about healing in all of its modalities, but I start with snack foods. So my first product line is a line of trail mixes that are infused with adaptogenic herbs, reishi, ashwagandha, mucuna, all these herbs that have been used in Ayurvedic medicines and other cultures. They use them in their food at meals at almost, every meal. So I started to infuse snacks with adaptogens, and it's been such a fun journey so far. I'm actually out in California right now because we hit a milestone by getting into our first retail location, because we were just going to be, direct to consumer online, through our website, using social media just to kind of run that course. And then we had this pivot happen when these retailers started reaching out to us. And I was like, how did you find us? It was so wild. So we just got into all of the Erewhon locations across Southern California, and it's sort of like a trial period. So they're like, "Hey, we want you on our shelves." I was like, "What? You want us? Wait, I'm such a baby. I'm like a brand. How? I don't know how to make this work, but I'll figure it out." And so that's sort of where we are right now. And it's such a blessing because my entire intention with Toodaloo is to provide not only healing foods, but also healing content. And then I'm very, very passionate about healing the planet. So with every purchase of our snacks, we are able to regenerate 100 square feet of polluted farmland through our partnership with the Rodale Institute. And this institution, they used to be like the OGs of or the organic movement back when that was a thing. And now there's this new movement called the regenerative organic movement. And so they're sort of at the forefront of it. So we partnered with them to help push that movement a little bit. So
I need to ask what the regenerative organic movement actually is. I don't know if everyone's going to be familiar with that.
totally, yeah. So it's actually like a really new thing. I learned about it in college when I was studying environmental sustainability. And essentially, it's a form of farming that puts nutrients back into the soil once it's extracted nutrients for crop growth. So instead of conventional farming systems that are always depleting the soils and never really put life back into it, this form of farming puts more nutrition back into the soil by using things like cover crops. They don't till the soil. There's all these crazy mechanics and tools that they use that are more like a natural way of farming, almost the way of farming that indigenous people have been practicing for millennia, but just sort of getting back to that place. And the amazing thing about regenerative farming is that it produces far more nutritious food. And because the soil is healthy, that means there's billions of these microorganisms in the soil that actually help the soil sequester carbon dioxide. So it's a form of cleaning our air and solving climate change. So when I found that out in college, I was like, this is a no-brainer. Like, we should be focusing on our soil health. We should be focusing on this because it's like this place where human health and planetary health kind of meet together. And, that was sort of like the vision behind Toodaloo in the beginning, and it's just sort of expanded from there. So,
You're obviously really passionate about health and healing, and you've taken such a holistic approach. It's awesome. Like, it's really great to see such passion in a founder. I think that it really translates into the brand. But what's your background, and how did this company come about?
yeah, so it's funny you say that because I usually have a hard time stopping talking about soil. So if at any point it's too much, just cut me. But I grew up really overweight. I struggled with sort of like binge eating. So I was really bullied, and the type of food I was eating was causing a lot of like mental health issues. So as I grew older, I found more peace and solace in the environment. So I became very passionate about protecting the environment. And that's why in college I studied environmental sustainability. And it was in college that I found out that plant-based nutrition is healing for the planet and also for the body. And so I became fascinated by this thing because if you think about it in a holistic way, it makes sense. If it's good for the planet, it must be good for you. If it's bad for the planet, it must be bad for you. We're all living organisms. And so I didn't exactly know what to do with it at the time, besides practicing the plant-based nutrition myself. After college, I started working in recycling. I thought I was going to save the world by, ending pollution. And then the pandemic hit. So when the pandemic hit, things kind of changed. Everybody was at a standstill. My career was sort of at a kind of postponed place. And I found myself eating the same snack foods and processed foods that were so inflammatory in my childhood. So I was gaining weight again. I was experiencing anxiety and depression again. And I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I know so much better than this. I became really fascinated with nutrition. Being overweight as a young kid, that became important to me. So one of the things I was gorging on during the pandemic was trail mix. And it wasn't like the good trail mix. It was like the peanuts, the candies, the refined oils, all this stuff. And so I ended up buying a dehydrator on Amazon just to try to make something better myself. And things started tasting good. And I just started mixing like dehydrated fruits that were blended with adaptogenic herbs and some superfoods, and voila. So like things started tasting good. And when I started giving them to friends and friends started asking for more, I realized I might have something here. And so that was sort of the beginning of the Toodaloo. Toodaloo was a quarantine baby.
Very cool. Very cool. And so then how did you go from you've got this recipe or, these recipes, I know that you have a few different flavors and, you like them, a couple of your friends like them. How did you really test the product, or did you kind of go to market and then get feedback from that point?
I think that I couldn't stop talking about the thing I was passionate about, which was like healing the planet and regenerative agriculture and this product that I had. And I had this vision of using the product in a similar way to the way nonprofits operate. Like, I'm not like, for example, one of my favorite nonprofits, For Ocean, they sell like bracelets that are made from ocean plastic, and they use those funds to push a movement. And so that was like my framework. So it was like I make trail mix, but I'm trying to save the planet with it rather than just having a product. And I was so emphatic about it. I couldn't stop talking about it to everyone. And there was a point where just within my network, I was meeting people, and I met somebody who had an incredible background in nutrition and selling supplements online. And he was like, "What is this soil thing you keep talking about? Like, you want to do what now? You want to make trail mix?" And luckily I was introduced to the right people that were actually able to help me bring it from like my kitchen to the mass scales. And so I was able to secure investment to take it up a notch. I was able to, hire the people I needed, like design agencies. And honestly, I felt like it was sort of divine the way things fell into place because it felt bigger than me. It felt like I was put here to do something to help save the environment in whatever capacity. So things honestly it felt like things fell into line. Like there was a bit of luck, and then there was a bit of like, Cattie can't shut up about this.
I think like there's such a great lesson there. A lot of people, when they have an idea, I feel like they are really nervous about talking about it because they don't want someone to steal their idea. And I think that, you can't build something completely alone. You need to be talking with people, whether that's to get their feedback or to really tap into the network. And you don't know what you don't know. And by talking about your idea, I do, with people that you trust, I do think that you can uncover all of these next steps that you didn't even realize were part of the process.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say one of my best lessons was just keep asking questions, like become so curious about your business because I mean, I have no entrepreneurial background. I just wanted to do something. I felt compelled to, so I just kept asking questions to everyone, to everyone that would listen and even those that wouldn't.
So you've got this product, you are feeling great about the recipes that you have. How do you go about finding or, yeah, really locking in those partners to help you produce this?
So once I had someone that actually was believing in my vision and was willing to invest, then became the scrappy, more scrappy part. So the first thing I had to do was find somebody who could make it. Making something in your kitchen is a lot different than making something at scale. And so what I literally did was I went into grocery stores and I would find a product that might be like a trail mix or like some kind of cool snack, and on the back, you can see the name of where it is manufactured. And I literally just started calling people. I said, hey, can you make this type of snack? Here's sort of like you don't want to give them everything, but here's sort of like the idea that I have. And so many people said no. I could tell you, I think I called like maybe 10 to 15 manufacturers, and they're like, no, we don't do sprouted. No, you can't use this herb. No, you can't do this. And I was just, it's discouraging at first, but I finally found one after so many questions. And then I'm like, hey, this is this is what I want to make. And he's like, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, no problem. So I would say to anybody, like, once you're locked in on your product, don't give up yet. Like, if you can't find the person the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time that can make it, because someone will make it. And so once I had the manufacturer, that's sort of when everything kind of like blew up in a good way.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And the brand is just like aesthetically really beautiful. How did you think about that when you were, thinking about what colors you were going to use, what fonts you were going to use? Did you partner with someone to do the design work? How did that process come about?
Totally. So before working with any partner, it was really important to get clear on the vibe that you want for your brand, like that I wanted for my brand. I felt like there was such in the news media and in social media or, just the conversation around climate change in most places is so doomsday. It's so like, it's like 440 parts per million, like we're gonna burn, like it's like so scary and it's paralyzing. And I thought
Yeah.
we need to start speaking in solutions. We need to start speaking in hope. We need to elicit a vibe that's like, we got this, guys. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, and I wanted that. I wanted that to come across on our packaging. And I wanted to also hint at, like, we believe in healing modalities in whatever form they might be. Like, I'm really into crystals and I'm really into meditations. And, I wanted that kind of vibe there. But let me tell you, the first few rounds of our packaging design were awful. They were so bad. And it's funny looking back because there are some that I was like, that's it. And then looking back, I'm like, oh gosh, thank goodness we didn't go that route. But we ended up finding the most amazing design agency based out of Oahu. And they were more boutique. And I really enjoyed that they weren't like this big design agency because I felt like we got really personal with them. And I consider the people that we work with friends now. And so I would just recommend find someone who you feel like really understands you and you can relate to on that level.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but feel free to give them a shout out if you want as well. I feel like people are always looking for like resources and contacts.
Okay, guys, the agency is called Here For Studios, and they are amazing. Like, I can't tell you, I feel like they're like my brand parents. Like, they're like, I feel like they know me better than I know myself sometimes. And you guys have to check them out because they're absolutely amazing.
That's great when you can find a partner like that that just like understands what you're saying, even when you don't really think that you're communicating it properly, and they can just like pick up on those key things that you want.
Totally. Yeah, they're the best. Absolutely.
And so the next question that I wanted to ask was around launch and how did you, what worked when you wanted to kind of get your first customers? What kind of marketing tactics really pushed the needle for you that you would recommend other people try?
Yeah, so when I first launched, I was really influenced by the Boss Babes. I don't know if you guys have heard of these two women, but they have an
Yeah.
incredible course that you can take. Yeah, oh gosh, I love them. I took their course on Instagram and it kind of teaches you how to lay out content, how to refine your message. And so my approach, our approach to launch was to really like just start building our social media up a little bit, like getting the vibe out there. And then we ended up hiring a social media manager to help kind of implement everything. And then we also worked with a PR agency just to like get the launch, the press release out there. And honestly, guys, I really feel like it was with Instagram that really like personal, touch, like communicating directly, posting photos of me in my kitchen, like those types of things really helped connect with customers. I think that human element is so important, like that story, that why. Like I didn't want to be the brand that just had like product, 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 product. I wanted to talk about like, here's this breathing technique you can try, here's this moon phase that's going on right now. And then here's, some healing food. So for us, I feel like that helped us get our vibe out there, you know?
Yeah, totally. I mean, people follow people on social media, they don't follow products. And so I think that if you have a story and you have a founder that's connected with that story, that could just really help you blow up and connect with people on social media. There's this, that there's a movement on TikTok that's all around small business TikTok and founder stories and day of the life type stuff that people just seem to connect with. And it's such an interesting move away from product focused content to also adding in this layer of founders, small business that people connect with. And often the businesses aren't even, that small, but it's just connecting with the person who is on the other side of the business and it makes people want to support you.
Totally. I think that's true. I mean, that's how even I would feel like looking at a brand. If I saw the person, I would feel compelled to support them, people are good.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. Okay, so after you launched, what are some of the things that you've continued to do, and like how are you thinking about growing the business? Do you have a pipeline of new products that you want to launch? Is it just about, acquiring new customers, connecting with more people, or now is the focus really on retail and expanding through new retail partnerships?
I think this is true of entrepreneurial life. You have a plan and then something happens and you pivot. And so
Yeah.
I'm in that moment of I'm in that moment of pivot because I'm like, we're just going to be direct to consumer. It's going to be all like, social media posts. And now there's all this retail attention. And then recently Facebook changed their ad algorithm
Hmm.
or something. Like they've made it more difficult for your ads to reach people. So here's this plan in like my life that I thought would go. And so now I'm realizing, okay, this is actually what's hitting. So now I think with our existing product line, I think we're just going to try to push retail, but not abandon our direct to consumer because at the end of the day, I really want to help people heal and I want to push that movement. I don't think it can be done without that storytelling element that comes through so well on social. So once we get all those pieces together, then I have the weirdest ideas for the next product lines.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, don't you find that that's like the most fun part,
Yeah.
is just coming up with new products?
No, absolutely. That is the most fun part. And especially when you have the idea and then you first start getting the samples and it like comes to life and it's just so exciting.
Totally. Yeah, I'm like, guys, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. And my team's like, Katie, chill. we have one day at a time. And I'm like, okay, okay.
So what does your like day-to-day life look like at the moment? Do you have kind of a routine? Are you working from home? Are you working from the office? Can you walk us through a normal day?
Man, honestly, I am a huge believer in having your sacred rituals, and that has always brought me so much peace. But I'll be completely transparent. My rituals have been kind of out of whack lately, just from traveling and like I think I have a slight problem where I become a little bit addicted to working. So when I would be like normally winding down, I'm like, I have this idea. I need to do this at night. And it's like, I really have to work on that kind of stuff. But my day-to-day life, honestly, is, responding to all of our customer service requests, trying to plan out creative content. Now I'm like trying to rope in all these deals that are coming through. It's such a varied day, and I'm still trying to navigate how to best orchestrate these ever-changing like events. Maybe you have some tips for me, because we've only been open for about 7 weeks, almost 8, as of selling products. So
wow.
yeah, I might take some lessons from you.
I mean, you're going to figure it out as you go. I think that everyone's thoughts on this are so different. I had a really interesting conversation with a friend of mine, Barbara, who has a hair care brand called Ceremonia. And her whole philosophy around how she spends her time, she was like, she goes to what the new thing is in the business, and that's where she spends her time. And then so whatever the new challenge is, whatever the new thing that they're trying to move forward, and that's where she spends her time. So it's always about making sure that like she understands that part of the business, and that there's not, I guess, anything that she isn't across. So I thought that was like a really interesting way to like shift your attention. But yeah, it's a tough one.
It is. It's a tough one. I feel like maybe that's a big lesson, is like you cannot control every little part of your business. You kind of have to learn to delegate, and so that you can focus on that big picture stuff. You can focus on the next thing that needs your attention, because there's only, you're the creative, you're the founder, or you're the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have any like resource recommendations? Are there any podcasts you like, any books that you've read that have kind of helped you along your journey so far?
Oh man, I would say if you're looking for like entrepreneurial advice, I love the Boss Babes podcast. It's so incredible. Also, there's this podcast from NPR called How I Built This, and you can hear stories from these huge brands of how they started from like the smallest of businesses and grew, and it's really inspiring. I would say one book is Expert Secrets. That one helped me realize how important it is to have your story and to have your why and let that lead. And instead of, just trying to push a product or push a thing, like really honing in on your why. And honestly, just like legit in person asking, or, Zoom, asking people questions, getting involved with the community. Like, you never know. Some of my biggest opportunities came from these minor acquaintances, like, and just passing conversation and linking up. And I would say that's been the most helpful for me, is really just person to person asking questions.
That's great advice. And Katie, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your story. I wish you all the best of luck. I can't believe that you're so new and already having these incredible conversations with massive retailers. I can't wait to see what you guys do next.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such an honor to be on your show.
Hey everyone, it's Jasmine again. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. And if you did, please drop us a 5-star review. Helps people find the show and helps us get more great talent on the program. See you next time.